What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a bit of a different NBA video that I wanted to make with you guys because I recently saw a tweet and something that actually came out of somewhat of a podcast slash news radio, I'm going to call it, actually by a place called Blue Wire, that actually suggested that the Minnesota Timberwolves could win the 2023 NBA championship, or are going to potentially win one within the next 2 to 3 years.
Do you realize how insane it will be if, maybe not this year, but if it, at some point the Minnesota Timberwolves, in all seriousness, like two people from Minnesota, if the Timberwolves honestly ever win a championship, like
it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Like I said, you get the inputs right. You can't control all the outputs, and there's definitely a bit of luck associated with going all the way. But if you every year you're in the mix. Mm-hmm. I think it'll happen.
A tweet actually came out from Charlie Walton of T-Wolves Wave saying, "Mark Law on the Timberwolves winning at all. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time." And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I am honestly sick and tired of the hate and disrespect that the Minnesota Timberwolves get around the league. I am a huge fan of this Minnesota Timberwolves team. I actually think what they've got going on right now is a really, really interesting kind of roster and a team that I definitely think will dominate, yes, dominate the regular season, but I'm not too sure of what's going to happen when it comes to the playoffs. There's obviously a lot of ifs and buts, but the fact is, this team has a lot of regular season players. I mean, it is the fact. Rudy Gobert is a big regular season dude that doesn't do well too often in the playoffs. Karl Anthony Towns hasn't done extremely well in the playoffs thus far as well. Then you've got, D'Angelo Russell, who I guess we haven't seen enough of to say what he's like in the playoffs, and then Anthony Edwards, again, is pretty much in the similar boat. But when we look at Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, both of them have had more than a couple playoffs now and have not exactly done well in the playoff series that they've had. So I can understand why some people are bringing up that conversation. But I would also like to point out that you actually never know in the NBA anymore. Because I remember when the Cavaliers signed Larry Markkinen, everyone and their dad was kind of clowning on that move, saying that he's too big. Why would you pay a dude $17 million to only play 25 minutes per game off the bench? And then you've obviously already got Kevin Love, who played 25 minutes off the bench as well. You're pretty much paying $47 million for two backup power forwards to play off the bench. I think I kind of understood that when it was said, but I also thought there was still some hope. And would you look at that, Larry Markkinen ended up starting at small forward, actually, for the Cavaliers, playing 30 minutes, and did really, really well. He actually got a lot better towards the end of the season too. And then Kevin Love ended up playing like really every 3 to the 5 throughout most of the season. And had some games where he definitely played 30-minute games. Some other games where he played 20. He just absolutely fulfilled a role. And again, those people who clown on the Cavaliers were pretty quickly shut up. And I honestly believe this is going to be a very similar situation for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, they got rid of Patrick Beverley, which I'm going to be honest, I was not a complete fan of. I thought Pat Bev did a lot for this Timberwolves team, and he was a guy they kind of needed, and they got rid of a couple other players here and there, like Jared Vanderbilt, who I think, as most of you know, I wasn't exactly too high on from the start. But they got rid of all these players, and they didn't just bring in Rudy Gobert like everyone's saying they did. Really, they brought in a lot more. They also, again, as I said, they brought in Rudy Gobert, but what they've done is they've now freed up a couple of other situations where Karl Anthony Towns can now play the power forward position, which I genuinely am going to absolutely love to see. I think Karl Anthony Towns at the power forward position is going to be absolutely perfect for them, because the thing in the situation with Karl Anthony Towns is he does not like to play, or defend rather, is the better word, the interior, just the interior in general. He doesn't like to guard the interior. He just really doesn't. And you can't have a top 5 center in the league, in top 3 in terms of offense, just not wanting to guard the interior. And why I think this is so good is because Karl Anthony Towns, you definitely see he has promise when he does go to the perimeter. I could definitely see a situation now where Karl Anthony Towns is guarding the, perimeter a lot better. A 6'11" dude that is now playing power forward isn't out of the ordinary. We saw Evan Mobley do it at 7 foot. I'm assuming OKC might try it out with Chet very, very soon as well. A couple other teams here and there might be doing it too. It is not out of the question now to see like a 6'11", 7 foot dude play that power forward position. And I think considering Karl Anthony Towns is one of the league's best 3-point shooters, he's going to absolutely do that so much. He's going to improve way more as a defender because he now doesn't have to guard the interior as much. And what's perfect for this though is you can still play, when Rudy Gobert goes to the bench, then Karl Anthony Towns can still rotate to that center position, center position. I'm absolutely in love with this duo. I think it will be a very, very good duo to watch in the NBA. And the other thing they, of course, did is now brought in pretty much a new starting small forward. I think Jaden McDaniels will now be their starting small forward. Jaden McDaniels has just been kind of itching and waiting to get that opportunity to be a starter in the NBA. And at 21 to 22 years old, I now think he will be able to do that. He's a very, very capable defender who I think has a lot of potential when it comes to 3-point shooting. The way I see a season of him having is I think he could be the type of guy to maybe, if he works on that 3-point shot in the off-season, he could come in, guard the 3, be a really elite perimeter defender, while also being able to shoot 3s at a nice high rate. Very similar play to like a Jay Crowder type of guy I definitely feel like we could see in Jaden McDaniels. Then, of course, they also signed Kyle Anderson to a $10 million deal to come and play backup small forward and power forward off the bench as well. You're going to get a very good rotational piece in him. You've now still got, Taurean Prince you've just brought back as well. Naz Reid, I think, will be a pretty nice piece for this team as well, because I think Naz Reid can play a little bit more power forward minutes too. Now that Rudy Gobert is there, I actually feel like that would be an interesting thing to watch. And then, of course, you guys have been telling me how much you guys like Jalen Noel. I haven't really watched him play a whole lot, but I have heard very good things of him being a pretty capable shot creator. And yeah, this team's depth is quite good. You've got Kyle Anderson, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns. It's obviously a really nice 5 right there. And I think, of course, Jaden McDaniels will probably start over Anderson again. That's a good 6. Jalen Noel at 7, Taurean Prince at 8, Naz Reid is 9. I don't believe I'm forgetting anyone particularly, but that's a really good 9-man rotation. Then you've still got some vets here and there like Greg Monroe, who could come off the bench and be a nice piece. I think there may be 1 or 2 more bench players away from potentially being a championship team, but I definitely see how a lot of people really like this team. Again, I do have an issue though. I do feel like they lack a bit of playmaking and guard depth. I mean, you do still have D'Angelo Russell, and I guess Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is more of a wing, but again, he's there as well. Jordan McLaughlin is also there. Jalen Noel. But then it's really, really thin from then on. Again, I would really look to go out and try and get a veteran guard off the bench. An interesting player could actually be Dennis Schroeder. I'm not too sure if he's really signed at the moment, but again, yeah, he's actually a free agent. His trade value is really nothing either. So even if there were to get a sign trade done, you could probably get him for a second. But he would be a really nice shot creating guard off the bench. Again, he doesn't really fill the playmaking type of thing, but I don't necessarily know if you can really sign if there's a playmaker out there at all that would actually fulfill that. Again, a dude that comes to mind maybe is Rondo, but we know that his career has kind of taken a bad turn, and with all the controversy around his name, also Cleveland decided not to bring him back. Probably a good thing to probably say that his career is possibly over. But there is definitely some other guys out there too that I definitely feel like they could maybe try and get in the future. And yeah, that's probably the only thing I see is maybe some lack of guard depth. Also, again, maybe an extra bench player or two would go a long way. But I definitely feel like this team can compete. I think they will 100% make the playoffs. They will be a very good team, obviously, during the regular season. It's just, can they put that together in the playoffs? But the reality is, this is probably going to be one of the best defensive teams in the league. Minus D'Angelo Russell in that starting five, everyone in that team is going to be a capable defender, I think, this season. Anthony Edwards is a 6'7" shooting guard, is going to be insane. You got Jaden McDaniels there at small forward, who's going to be a really good perimeter guy. Karl Anthony Towns, I think, improves much more as a perimeter guy now as well. And then you got Rudy Gobert, arguably the best defender in the game. You've still got good players like Taurean Prince as well coming off the bench that can add defense. And even a Kyle Anderson's pretty decent as well. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. For all the latest NBA news and NBA content, do you guys think the Minnesota Timberwolves can potentially win the 2022 NBA Championship? Of course, I would definitely really like to know all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Of course, don't forget to, just comment your thoughts and opinions down below as well if you guys think this is a big possibility. And of course, as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.